All right, hello. Guess what? Today is 700 days on carnivore for me. So just wanted to take a little moment, celebrate this occasion. 700 days, almost 2 years, hard to believe. But I'm sitting down, still enjoy ribeyes. Pretty crazy. After 700 days, I've eaten a lot of ribeyes. But about to have my dinner. I wanted to just say a quick message in a couple of things that I just absolutely love about carnivore. First of all, Malden salt. Celebrate with some Topo Chico. Love that. I love the carnivore diet. I love this lifestyle. I love doing this and seeing all the healing. But I think the thing that's grown on me the most is the community. The carnivore community is incredible. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to be a part of. And we just got back in. Long night of traveling for me, but just got back in from our Arizona meetup. So what perfect timing to have a highlight reel, if you will. It was about 4.5 hours of just incredible doctors, Dr. Kiltz, and stories that were so inspiring from so many people. And I wanted to put a little bit of a clip together so you can see a little bit of it, get a little taste of it. Still not the same. If you haven't been to a meetup, make sure you get to a meetup because it's so inspiring, so much different when you meet people in person. So many incredible people came, so many incredible stories that we got to talk to. We had an amazing time prepping for it the night before, show a little bit of the dinner that we had together, and then the day of the meetup. And this was all through the Healing Humanity documentary. And all of the funds that were raised for the ticket sales and for the dinner that we did all go towards the documentary. So we're super excited about it. It was an incredible event. We've got more coming up, and I couldn't be more thrilled about being part of this community. So today we're celebrating 700 days, maybe we'll get to 700 years, 700 days of being carnivore for me, and I'm looking forward to a lot more. So we'll keep you posted. I hope you enjoy this video. It's a little bit longer, but I try to condense it. Remember, this is like 4.5 hours of footage, so I try to condense it to kind of some of the highlights with all the speakers, and didn't even get a whole lot in the restaurant and other things, but I'll put some pictures at the end. And yeah, hope you enjoy. I gotta enjoy my steak. What's up, Carrie? We're filming each other. Carrie, Amy, Dave, Lynn, Mr. Todd himself, and the judge. Don't judge. I'm eating the judge.
at the end. And the last thing I wanted to say real quick is we have to be out of here right at the end. Right, Ashley? 2:30?
2:30.
2:30. They have a movie coming in here, so it's really hard to leave and not talk to everyone, and thank you all because we're so grateful that all of you have come out here. But for those of you that purchased the separate ticket to the Brazilian Steakhouse, we have to be over there as well. So one of the things that it reminds me of is that these stories have the ability to inspire change. And that's what we're trying to do with our documentary, Healing Humanity. I think of Bill Knott. Bill was 700 pounds, stuck in his house for years, and was able to take his life into his own two hands and get back out into freedom again. So the goal of today is, let's celebrate the real heroes that are walking around in the world instead of the fake heroes that we see on the screen. Who here has found healing through a proper human diet? It's incredible. Like, look at that. I don't know of any other intervention, diet, medication, anything where you see this amount of healing. You look around and some of these people that have come up and talked to me, it's incredible, some of these stories. So I know that's kind of a funny picture. That's what happens when you offer Dr. Baker the second batch of bacon in the morning. He gets kind of excited, but if you really think about the amount of healing that individuals, doctors like Dr. Baker, it's absolutely incredible how many people have found healing on the scale. Like, he became a doctor to heal people. How many people did he heal until he started talking about this, and people all over the world finding healing? That is why it's important that we elevate the good doctors. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's what I try to do on my YouTube channel. And really, that's one of the big things with this documentary, Healing Humanity. We're sharing inspiring stories from individuals, but we're also celebrating and elevating the voices of these good doctors that have decided to do something different, and they're actually healing people that they're helping. Speaking of brave doctors. Woo! Wait, not yet. Not yet. Dr. Robert Kiltz. And plus, he looks like a superhero in there. He's like Superman.
Yeah.
Fake heroes. Those are fake heroes. We actually have a group of real-life Avengers that we should celebrate. And those are these individuals here that are all in our documentary too, by the way. But the name, Healing Humanity, that is a pretty audacious name. Pretty bold, right? Like, how are you going to heal humanity? It's kind of crazy. Carnivore coach Lisa Pickard.
Yeah!
There's got to be a reason that we're sick, because we didn't have these diseases 100 years ago, 300 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Why? Why are we so sick? And I'm more interested in getting you healed than anything else on this planet. I wake up 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I go till close to 8 o'clock at night, worldwide, working with all different types of every kind of issue you can think of. People will send me their symptoms, and I diagnose it and go after it.
Next up, we have Mr. Chris Spath.
I spent about 7 weeks in the hospital. I had necrotizing fasciitis, which is flesh-eating disease. And that's a picture of me there in the hospital. I had, 10, 12 surgeries, removing it from my arm, skin grafts, the whole 9 yards. And I spent the next year really lost. I lived, I survived, I was very grateful for that, happy for that, but all I could think about is, why did this happen to me? And how do I not let that happen to me again? A few years before this, I actually was diagnosed type 2 diabetic. And they put me on the regular medications, and they said, this is just the way it's always going to be. And hopefully you don't get to a point where you're taking insulin and whatnot. And it was after this, I went to my doctor for my routine checkup. My A1C was 11.6, and I was taking, that's on metformin and glyburide, which were 2 medications I was taking, and they wanted to refer me to an endocrinologist so I could start taking insulin. And I said, I'm not doing that. I knew in the past I had tried low carb diets before, so I immediately started doing that, and I found the carnivores. I found Sean Baker on Joe Rogan. I found Jason Fung, is a doctor that has a book called The Diabetes Code. Within 6 weeks, my blood sugar was perfect every day, so I stopped taking all my medications. My blood pressure came down so much I was nearly fainting because I was on blood pressure medication. So when I saw my blood pressure was like 100/60, I had to stop taking that. And then I noticed my nose wasn't running anymore because I was on allergy medication for years. I stopped taking that. I had sleep apnea really bad. You know, as the weight dropped, my sleep apnea, you know, the machine was choking me because it was pushing too much air in me, so I stopped using that. Just thing after thing after thing just started healing and getting better and better and better. Well, at 9 months, I go get I'm down 115 pounds, and I go to get my blood work done, and my A1C was 4.9.
Yes.
I went back to the doctor and I said, he looks at my blood work, he's like, great, what'd you do? And I said, oh, I did Carnivore. He's like, your cholesterol's high, I'm gonna give you a prescription for a statin. So I haven't been back to that doctor since. I feel great, so I just wanna encourage anybody out there, you're here to celebrate and you're here to get inspiration. Talk to somebody you know. There's other people in your world, in your life that might need to hear these kind of things to get themselves moving. You don't want to wind up like that, you know, before you do something about it.
Yeah.
So, thank you all.
Awesome.
Incredible. Amazing. I like how you just threw in there too, you were down 115 pounds. That's like, whatever, that's just part of the story. Thank you so much, Chris. We're going to be filming Chris and Laura for our documentary this week. That's part of the reason we're here in Arizona right now. And we wouldn't be doing it without all of you. Your support here and the ticket sales are going so that we can continue filming this documentary. So thank you all for that. This next one we have coming up now is my good friend, Lynn. Lynn is incredible. Her story is so inspiring. Sorry, I'm not going to hype it all up for you. I'll let you do it.
Thank you. I'm so blessed to be here. It's so wonderful that all of you are here. And when I look at these pictures, I've never seen my face that big, honestly. It's really disturbing. But this is a happy side effect. The weight loss is a happy side effect of what happened, because my face here is a reflection of the inflammation in my body. But I had dealt with about 35 years of experiencing odd symptoms, and I had, over the course of my life, been to about 17 different doctors, never getting a diagnosis, and getting progressively worse as the decades went on. I started having symptoms in my 20s, and in my 20s it was infertility, mental health issues. Early 30s, I ended up in a psychiatric hospital. The weight gain was coming, wasn't sure why. Never was able to conceive. My husband and I have 3 adopted children. And but when I got into my 40s and then into my 50s is when things got really bad. So I was working in the hospital as a nurse, and I started having dizzy spells. I started having severe tachycardia, and had to go to the ER on a shift, and went to see a neurologist, brain scan. Nobody could figure out what was going on. So now I don't wear makeup because I want people to see this is my face. This is it. I have healed. And I really believe that the change in my complexion is a reflection of the healing in my gut. And here I was, a gastroenterology nurse, teaching people to eat plenty of fruits and grains and push fiber. And I haven't had fiber in 19 months. That's how long it's been. Okay, TMI, but you still poop without fiber, okay? And as a GI nurse, I wish I could have known. I wish I could go back and tell people that this is the solution to the problem. It was so hard now looking back to see that how many people I could have helped. And that's one reason why I'm so passionate about healing humanity, because I still have that nurse caregiver side of me that I want to help people. I want to help people heal. And now I know how. And the nurses, the doctors out there, we don't get trained in nutrition. We get trained in therapeutic diets to help people who are acutely ill in the hospital. We don't get any training in nutrition. And just like everybody here, that's what we want. We have experienced incredible healing, and our goal is to spread the news that you can feel better and you will feel better. And I've come to believe that I don't think there's anything out there that the carnivore diet can heal. So that is my story.
Yes.
You guys probably want to hear more of Lynn's story. She has her own YouTube channel, @MidlifeCarnivore, and go check it out and subscribe. Next up, we have my friend, Renee, eating meat to walk, with her incredible story as she walks up here onto the stage.
Right.
Yeah, there you go, Renee.
So, as much as I want to sit down like Lynn did, I'm not going to because I can actually stand without a cane. Following another nurse, I have been a nurse for 21 years and was in the military prior to that. I have had depression my entire life from the time hormones started. First suicidal attempt when I was in 8th grade. Severe depression through all of that. Migraines started at the same time. When back in 2010, I got diagnosed with my first autoimmune disease, which was idiopathic gastroparesis. Stomach stopped working, couldn't digest food, couldn't keep food down, threw up. I worked through the whole thing as a nurse working night shift. I would be sitting in my office as the nursing supervisor, puking in the trash can next to me as I was getting ready to go to a patient coding. Finally got that sort of under control. And then in 2019, I developed something called chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy. It took months for them to diagnose me. Basically, I looked like I had Guillain-Barré. I lost the ability to walk, I lost the ability to use my hands, and it all happened in 8 hours. I got up that morning, worked out, okay, I'm sorry, honey, we were vegans. My poor husband went through a million different diets with me to try to figure out how to get the gastroparesis under control. I worked out 6 days a week. I was not drinking anymore, I was not smoking anymore. I was like the healthiest I could be. And then I became paralyzed. My husband says, hey, just watch some carnivore videos. And I'm like, no, we've had this discussion. I'm a nurse. There is no way we're eating just meat. Like, no. And I thought, you know what, he's been bugging me for months, so I'll just do it and get him off my back. And I put into YouTube Carnivore and Healing and found Carrie. And my very first video was Carrie. And he did, thank you, by the way, his 9-month. It was his 9-month check-in, and he was just like running all over the place and talking about how healthy he was and everything he had healed. And I was like, wait, like this isn't just losing weight. I figured my husband just wanted to lose the vegan weight that I put on him. But no, this is about healing. So I decided that, all right, well, I'll continue watching. Well, the next thing I found was Michaela Peterson, and she and her amazing story about healing rheumatoid arthritis. So now the nurse in me is like, wait, that's an autoimmune disease. So maybe there's something there. As a medical professional, yes, absolutely, carnivore is what has healed me. I've been walking with a cane. I started using the cane in like January. I was falling, like my left side of my body was so weak, I just couldn't stand up. So on March 20th, we went carnivore. We waited a few weeks to eat all the food in the house. We shouldn't have done that. We should have just gone right away. At the time we became carnivore, my pain was a 9 to 10 out of 10, all of the time. I was taking 2 antidepressants, and I was taking the maximum adult dose of gabapentin, and none of that was touching the pain. And within 2 weeks, I went full on lion. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be Michaela Peterson, I'm just gonna go for it. Because there's no sense in like just trying to figure out what I can and can't tolerate. So within 2 to 3 weeks, my pain was almost completely gone. My neuropathy pain in my arms and legs was, for the first time in 5 years, like controlled. So I'm laying in bed one night and I'm sobbing, and I'm like, honey, my feet aren't burning, and this is amazing. And if I have to eat a ribeye, if that's all I get to eat the rest of my life is ribeyes, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I am proud to say that it was not even 2 weeks after we got here that my cane permanently found its storage place in my office, and I have not touched it. I just am so grateful to everybody out there. Why are my doctors not like, oh my gosh, look at what you've done, let me figure this out? I don't want you to ever give up what you're doing, Carrie, because without you, like I would, he told me by the time I was 50, I'd be in a wheelchair. So I'm 47, proud to be 47, and not in a wheelchair, and not anywhere headed towards a wheelchair. But everybody, Dr. Kiltz, you and Dr. Baker and Dr. Chafee, and I know I'm missing one in there, Dr. Berry, have been my doctors for the last 9 months. And this is why I'm still upright and walking, and I'm just completely grateful. Just know that there is always hope, always hope. And I am a baby carnivore and a baby YouTuber, but I have a YouTube channel, and I want people to know that there is hope and you can heal. So don't give up.
Everyone go follow Renee, Eating Meat to Walk on Instagram and YouTube. What an incredible story, incredible. Speaking of incredible stories, next up we have Amy.
Hi, everybody. So, my journey has been 1 year, and I was in a wheelchair. I had to use a wheelchair everywhere I went for a couple reasons. I have a disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and that means that I don't make good collagen. Collagen is like glue that holds your body together. So every day, I would dislocate a joint every single day. Painful, I don't know when's the last time you dislocated a joint and could go on about your day. So it built me to be very strong. I appreciate that. I also have orthostatic intolerance, POTS, postural orthostatic intolerance. A lot of people have this and don't know it. I also have mast cell. I'm the person that whenever you go to a party or any gathering at all and somebody says, oh, well, my grandmother has this and my friend has this and my cousin who knows somebody that has this, I was like, oh, I have that. I have that. I have that. I have that too. And so my list of diagnoses is, honestly, I exaggerate that there, always say there's about 62, really there's 70. Wow. And that's because of the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So it set me up for a problem with vanity. So of course I was highly judged for my weight. I lived in a really small town. And so that's, as you can see, vanity left the room a long time ago for me. I don't even care about vanity. I heard about Carnivore from some people at my home church, and they said, Amy, I really think this will help you. January 20th, I started last year, and by the second week in March, I didn't need my wheelchair anymore. Shocking. And one thing that I love is children. Lynn and I started writing children's carnivore books. Those books out there belong to Lynn and I. And we're so excited to educate the kids and give them something that they can relate to. The number one thing that I would say Carnivore can do for you is clear up your mind so that you can take the next right step. And that's what's most important. Just take the next right step. Keep going, y'all. Keep going.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Next up, we have a mystery carnivore that's going to share her story. Our mystery guest is my mom, traveling carnivore Liz.
Yeah.
Just looking at that picture, that one, I can't believe it. Anyways, I don't like it. But I got to think back. It was Easter, it'll be 2 years, this Easter, that 2 years ago, Carrie called me, and at that time I was on keto, very strict keto, for about 3 months. And he mentioned this thing about carnivore, and I never heard of it, and he sounded so good. And then when I saw him, I could not believe that you were the same person. So that's how I got obviously started. The most dramatic thing that I can say that just helped me is mentally. I was diagnosed about 20 years ago, bipolar 1, and I can still think back of those charts they give me. It's rapid cycling, up and down. I had depression, suicidal depression. Depression so bad, it's like a black hole of hell. It's terrible. But anyways, now all those drugs, almost like you, they're all gone. I don't have any more medication. The bipolar, the depression, everything. And thank you. This is the first time I've spoken from anybody. There you go.
Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Shut up, Mom.
Yeah.
Traveling carnivore. Oh, by the way, Stepdad Bill, he's carnivore too, right?
Yep, and he lost 45.
He's down 45 pounds.
Yeah.
He's a huge fan of Dr. Anthony Chaffee's work. Everyone give a big round of applause to Laura Sebastian.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really, truly, Chris and I were very grateful to be a part of this today. Part of something I'm going to share later on, like I got somehow convinced to be vegan at one point because I watched a documentary called Forks Over Knives, which is at the time the vegan documentary that comes out every few years that has all the vegan propaganda. And I know how easily that lies, which I know now, convinced me that that's what I had to do to be healthy. And we need to have more movies like this and more events like this that are sharing the truth in a compelling way, because we know there's every couple of years there's a new vegan documentary that comes out that we know is just full of propaganda and lies and funded by the food industry and kind of all of these negative things. And it's so important that we're supporting the work that Carrie's doing. You, just by being here today, are supporting this cause, and you're helping other people to hear this information and heal just by being here in this room. And so I'm happy to be a part of it and grateful grateful for all of you for being here as well. So thank you. And thank you to Carrie. Yeah. I've heard incredible stories this morning already of immense healing and overcoming diseases and lifelong afflictions. I just got really fat. So I didn't have a lot of those other things, and I always share, like, Chris's story is my inspiring story. Like, this is our family's inspiring story and what motivates me and gives me hope and purpose. I just spent the majority of my life struggling with my weight, and that was not the end of it. It was a long journey, and it still has been a really long than the last 6 years of me figuring it out. And it's not a promise of eat this and then you're going to be fixed forever, which we hear those stories, and the food is what is so healing, and that's why this has been so successful for me. But we all have to kind of take a step back and figure out, like, where does that come from? Like, if you are somebody who struggles with food addiction and obesity and your relationship with food, like, it's so much work to figure that part out. And it has nothing to do with carnivore, and yet it has everything to do with carnivore. I realized you could stop at the gas station every morning and get a pack of donuts and a large Diet Coke, and that could be I can make my own food choices now. I could just eat junk food all day long. And it really, then all of a sudden I started looking at my peers and realizing how much faster I was gaining weight than everybody else. You know, I ended up having kids, gaining a lot of weight, never really losing weight after that. And I know I just have so many triggers with, like, it's very similar to if somebody, or if you've known somebody in your life who was an alcoholic, the way that people are hiding alcohol. I was hiding food. I would stop at a gas station on my way to work and buy a bag of snacks for like $20 and hide it in my desk drawer and eat it all day long. After I had gotten breakfast, you know, I usually get 2 value meals at Chick-fil-A every single morning. They opened at 6 o'clock, my shift started at 6:30, and they knew me there. I would stop there and stop at the gas station and go to work, and that only lasted till like 11 when I went out to lunch with my friends. We always hit up Sonic during happy hour in the afternoon to go get ice cream. I usually stopped at Chick-fil-A again for a milkshake on my way home before I went home and had dinner with my family. And then after the kids went to bed, that's when Chris and I would set up on the couch and each had a pint of Ben & Jerry's. And that was our nightly reward for surviving the day. It consumed every thought that I had all the time. Was like, where is the food? How can I get the food? How can people not notice me have this food? Like, it really just consumed every thought. Chris did the hard thing and he almost died, okay? But in that picture of him in the ICU in a coma, I was sitting next to him pumping breast milk for our infant son, and I would take it home once a day and come back and live. That year was the hardest year of my life. And that picture actually that Carrie had put in the middle, Chris had his arm wrapped up. We both just looked tired, and we were smiling because we took the kids to the zoo. It was the first time in like 9 months that we had been able to go out and be somewhere as a family, and it was kind of this moment of like, maybe our lives can go on and maybe we can live again. And So we started another diet. January 1st. All right, everybody's 2018. Everybody's doing keto. That's the thing. Let's do it. And I made it to like January 28th, and I noticed because it was my daughter's birthday and there's birthday cake in the house. And how can you not eat birthday cake if there's birthday cake in the house? And so I think I had half a birthday cake. And that started another 6-week spiral where, again, I lost 20 pounds, keto for a month, did great, and then really went off a spiral. I started keto just because what we knew at the time, and Chris was a couple weeks behind me and started carnivore. And I used to tease him relentlessly because he was like doing his walks and listening to podcasts about carnivore, and he'd come home and I'm like, what'd your podcast tell you today? Oh, about vegetables killing us. And I just was like teasing him about all this kind of stuff. And at the time we were so blessed, like I was working, Chris was staying home with the kids, and he was doing all the cooking. I'm very spoiled that he does all of the cooking and stuff for us. So he just started cooking food for me for the week, and I didn't realize there wasn't any vegetables in it. And I just didn't think about it. And then I started realizing, oh wow, that weight loss stall that I had has been gone. Like I'm losing weight again. And so Chris and I went all in, everything, committed everything we got, and we both lost 100 pounds in a year. And again, I wish I could say the end, just go do that, okay? But that was not the end for me. It was this moment of then I could do something short term, and honestly 10 months was a short term amount of time. I could commit all in for this. But then at some point, I kept thinking if I was just the perfect enough carnivore for long enough, then all of those obsessive thoughts about food would go away. I just have to be able to kind of go with the flow, but know that I'm an addict, and that if I were to go to that conference and start my morning with a pastry, thinking like, oh, it's fine, like it's what's available, I have to have this breaded food, all of those thoughts come back, and all of that obsession, and the entire time, all I would be thinking about is that food. And so, like what I'm describing to you sounds wildly crazy if you don't have that thing in your brain that locks onto food in that way. But I know, I always thought I was alone in that. And I made a YouTube video just to kind of explain what's happening in my brain when that kind of stuff happens. And the number of people that reached out to me saying that it resonated with them is, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was broken. And I didn't think that I was alone in my struggles and that I was crazy because I was dreaming about donuts, okay? And if anything, the reason why we keep doing this, and I tell Chris every day, like, the reason why we keep sharing and keep talking about it is, like, I can just go live my life and move on and just keep eating this way because I know what works for me, but the reason why we keep sharing is hopefully to help other people, but more importantly because I need it. Like, I need to be accountable. I need to be reminded that I'm not alone, and I do it more for selfish reasons, honestly, because it continues to inspire us, and it really just reminds me of why I have to be so diligent with this. But because carnivore does heal, but we have to kind of figure out the way that we can live that way in our normal lives. So thank you.
Dr. Robert Kiltz, give him a big round of applause.
I love this man. And there are two women in the universe that are the most important. First is Mother Mary, and the second is this woman. Because she created this man to bring to us an idea that is so radical and amazing that we're all here sharing our stories. And I gotta tell you, I've got tears in my eyes at listening to all the amazing stories because we're all on a hero's journey. And love is the most important thing of life. And somehow we find food that fills our love thing because we've been damaged by something. I went into medicine because I wanted to help people. Now, I grew up in LA, kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read. And that's a true story. Oh, did I mention my father in jail too? And I broke a leg at age 19, and I was blessed because Mrs. Wong in the 10th grade taught me ceramics. And I learned to center myself by doing pottery and jewelry And eventually I learned painting, and as a physician, I didn't know what I was being taught was wrong. I was just a standard eater, probably ADHD, OCD, depression, dyslexia, and all those sort of things were caused by what? Plant-based diet. And plants are really good for us, right? Heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine come from what? Plants. What toxic chemical comes from a ribeye steak? Zero. Yeah. Get the healthiest thing from ribeye. I said, how many people focus on eating fatty meat? Does obesity cause any disease? Zero. Obesity causes no disease, and it's the biggest lie we've ever been taught. That is the problem. And you and I buy it, and we're always trying to be skinny, which is deadly if there's a famine. Did you know that? The most important thing you carry in your body is actually your fat. Fat is not toxic. It doesn't contain a bunch of toxins. Makes no sense. What you eat is toxic, and often what you think is toxic. This is our problem. When you think more loving, kind, and generous and positive about everything out there, then you will feel loving, kind, and generous in here. And God is the most important thing in the universe. And God put you and I on this journey, and it's not easy. And the most important things in life are easy or hard. They're hard. For all those that are buying my course on Kiltz's Keto Carnivore, I'm donating all of it to this cause. And as a physician, would you rather take the Bible or Scientific America into battle? The Bible. It's who we are. It's stories. And every time a doctor says, well, science is real, I say it's theory. It is not real. It's made up. What if we ask our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, and the stories they've been telling us, the stories we passed down, because it's all a story. So I just want to say thank you to all of you for allowing me to stand up here and share crazy stories, and I'm just here to help share